not necessarily those of the Emily Pearl Show, its sister stations, its affiliates, or its sponsors, but it is those of the individuals themselves who express it. While the Emily Pearl Show does take stances on individual issues, the show itself remains an entertainment platform. Free thought is a philosophy and not a policy.
All right, hello everybody. Happy Thursday and welcome to Pearl's Politics. What's the word? Thunderbirds. All right. Look, I got a funny for y'all. I think it was yesterday morning. I live in like a T-shaped street. Okay, like there's a street in front of my house. And so I just happened to look out the window and there was this man had on a coat and a jacket hat, hood hat. And he was bending over picking up things. And I kept trying to see what was he picking up. Because he was doing this like three driveways. And I'm like, what is he picking up off of the curbs there, to the driveways, then the grassy part too. I said, did somebody drop a whole bunch of money? If they did, I need to get out there and start picking up too. So when he got closer, I kept looking at his hands to see if he was putting any coins in his pocket, right? I didn't see anything. I think the man was just seeing some flowers, early spring flowers that nobody else was seeing. And he was picking a bunch of flowers, y'all. And I said, well, I guess he's feeling good. He's in his spring step, but it was kind of funny. So, and I wasn't the only one watching because I saw a couple of other neighbors looking. So I don't think he belonged in the neighborhood, but bless his heart. But hey, we are here. Hello, Mary from Michigan to share the show because we've got one of your favorite guests back in the studio tonight. Okay. So let me bring in my co host now. Here is the heartbeat of the South and my every heartbeat, my son, Tim Harrington. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Mom, how's everybody?
All right. And guess who? The co hostess of the Moses appears again on Pearl's Politics. Hi, Sybil.
Hey, Sybil.
I
All right,
popped in
then.
again.
Yeah, she did. Oh, y'all know y'all gotta have the mouth of the South from Alabama, right? Down under the Jenny Hill. Hey, Jenny.
Hey,
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm here.
Jenny.
Can you
Hey,
hear
girl.
me? Is
Yeah,
my
Yes,
okay?
you're good.
everything is great.
Yeah, you're good.
Good
So,
deal.
Tim, what have you been doing since the last time I saw you?
Well, nothing, not a whole lot. Just running some errands and everything. Got a chance to enjoy the good weather, I think, day before yesterday. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
spooky because it was like 65, 68 degrees. Make you wonder
Mm-hmm.
what's really going on.
Yeah,
But
yes,
nevertheless, I took advantage of
yes, yes. Hi,
it.
Ed. Welcome.
Hi,
And
Ed.
Jen, what have you been doing since the last time I saw you? Jennifer,
Oh,
Jenny.
I was trying to get the YouTube one up. Okay, I had to mute the microphone.
YouTube. Yeah,
Okay, but I can watch it on the screen and
that's
hopefully
right.
see the
That's
stuff.
right, because we are
Uh,
airing on 5 platforms right now.
yeah. Well, if
Um,
y'all lose me tonight, it's because we have wind and rain.
I know
So,
I'm concerned about y'all. They said tornadoes might be heading your way, so
yeah.
I totally understand. Yeah, so
Well, it
we'll
hasn't
we'll
got real
pray.
bad yet, but it is playing with my Wi-Fi. So if y'all lose me, that's why.
Okay, well, if we lose you on your computer, try coming in on your phone.
I am on my phone.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, all
I've
right.
always I do it on from my phone, and then I watch the computer for when I can see them for the messages, the comments.
Okay. All
So,
right. All right then. Yeah, that's great. All right then. So well, I just saw you yesterday, so you can't have been doing much.
Yeah. Just taking it easy. Looking forward to introducing our special guest.
And I'm gonna let you do that right now.
All right. As she said, hi, I'm Sybil Presley, and I popped in Pearl's Politics. And we have a very special guest tonight, a return guest on Pearl's Politics. And he is campaigning for mayor of Memphis 2023. And he's well known from the popular TV show, Judge Joe Brown. And he has many fans. And I'm one of his biggest fans, of course. And I'm a supporter of Judge Joe Brown. And he's going to make a wonderful mayor of Memphis. I can't wait because I know he's going to win. So tonight, the Honorable Judge will discuss a very important ongoing project when he is elected mayor of Memphis. He has a safe streets program that is very much needed. It includes getting crime off the streets, getting roadside trash off the streets, and my favorite, filling potholes. Judge Joe Brown, welcome to Pearl's Politics.
All right. Hello,
All
Judge.
right, glad
Welcome.
to be
Hi,
here,
Welcome.
Judge.
Hey,
sir.
Judge.
How
We're
is it?
Yeah.
happy to have you.
Yes.
Yes, again.
So
Always
Sybil,
welcome.
So, Sybil,
I
did you share your Pothole Blues song with Judge?
I did,
Okay.
and
I liked it.
Yeah, I did
yeah.
too. I
So
did too.
I'm called a pothole lady, and I'll be popping around town doing comedy and stuff, and also drawing attention to Judge Joe and the potholes, and giving people hints what they can do in their own particular neighborhood, in their
Mm-hmm.
own community. They can take
Mm-hmm.
pictures of the potholes and location and
Mm-hmm.
plop it on down to City Hall and see what happens.
Okay.
So,
All righty.
Joe,
Potholes
Honorable,
are serious business. I was
well, it
speaking
is.
about them, and some bereaved member of the audience, a lady, came up and said she'd lost a son about a year ago because he hit potholes out in East Memphis.
Yeah, I remember that.
Car went across the median and was a head on, and two people died because of the potholes. And somebody else was telling me that they'd lost a child because a car hit a pothole, flipped upside down, and two avoidable tragedies. There's just
Mm.
no excuse for that kind of infrastructure deterioration. And it's
Right.
no excuse for the streets being as filthy as they are. Memphis used to be known as one of the cleanest cities in America. What happened?
Mm.
We let it go down.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because the people that have been running the city have other things to do with our money than take care of the streets and put people to work and get effective patrolling and character development so they're safe streets, both physically when it comes to their condition and to what's roaming about in them, which we sometimes have to pay a lot of attention to. We need energy to bring in industry, and when we get industry in here, we can get jobs, and when people are gainfully employed, they're less angry.
Right.
There are a lot of things to do. We can set up an arbitration structure so lawyers are not permitted to practice and people can, for nominal charges that they can afford, litigate issues between themselves to reduce public stress and tension. The police
Mm-hmm.
department needs to be completely restructured on a different model, perhaps that of the U.S. Pentagon, where civilians are in charge
Mm-hmm.
and it's under civilian control, not civilian review, which seems to be ineffective. We need community block captains, revised communication so that someone can either go through 911 or to the block captain or neighborhood captain who can get directly into the police dispatcher. We need some things where we will allow the citizenry to go out and patrol to supplement the police officers to take back control of the neighborhood so that effectively we can get something like we all remember. You did something wrong, all of the adults heard about it on the way home. You caught hell when you got home after catching it all the way there. We need something like that again, and we can do it. There are ways, and I have crafted some devices to get that done. Now,
Yay.
we need energy,
Yeah.
so we can put in modular hydroelectric generators down here in the Mississippi River and generate a lot of electricity and have solar electric arrays on top of all public buildings, schools, renovated structures over a certain size. The city can subsidize them instead of taking so much of our money to what? Convert a football stadium into a soccer arena or subsidize an international hotel chain or
Mm-hmm.
subsidize a national movie house or
Right.
subsidize giving away our city properties to private developers who rent them back to the city to
Hmm.
financing those who want to make money where they shouldn't be. And by the way, how can you talk to the kids about being honest and law abiding when they see so many at the top who are not?
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Well,
So,
it's
you know,
about it's
I'll
about
stop.
making we the people the employer instead of the employee again.
Mm-hmm.
We used
I
to
get
be the employer with our vote. That made us the employer.
Yeah,
And
it's like
now
we
it's got
did vote
switched around.
you in, we did vote you in, so some of us realize we're not getting anything in return. So why is it we're supposed to vote for you? What is this? We want to improve the downtown skyline so everybody will be proud, but none of us can go down there because there's no parking, and you want to cut that back and say,
Mhm.
Oh
everyone
God, don't
take
say
public
nothing about downtown.
transportation if you want to visit downtown to see where your tax money went. But
Right.
where is the public transportation? Oh,
Mm.
let's see. What's the
And
other one?
$20
Cut
and
back the parking.
$25 for parking.
Yeah, and then they
$25 for
talk,
parking.
and then they want to cut that back further. So it's all about tourism. Yeah, I like tourism. We can do that, but the rest of us aren't tourists. Are we supposed to be perpetual tourists so we don't have to worry about wrecking our vehicles driving over the potholes?
Right.
Or
Ernestine from Michigan
when Memphis
says
Light
so
Gas
true.
water runs dry, when the water goes out, the power goes out, the
Mhm.
hotel you're staying in can turn on the generators and we can have lights, and they've got the water tank on the roof where we can
Yeah.
still take a shower, maybe. That's
Ernestine
not
from
the way to
Michigan.
run a city.
Ernestine from Michigan Judge says so true. The city needs to do all the things that Judge Joe Brown is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we need to let's make our police department more efficient in the usage. Somebody somewhere thinks that instead of going to use the police force to ferret out criminality, we need to go down 285 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exits from Winchester on down. You have a squad car sitting there supposedly to keep traffic under control, and people were complaining about lawlessness in the city. And we want to scapegoat our young officers when one or two might do something wrong, like everybody's bad, which they're not. We underpay them. We
That's
wiped
right.
out their pension plans. The same
That's
thing
right.
with the fire department.
Yeah.
We have those who want to bring in the usual suspects from outside of Memphis to get up and grandstand and try to sell their latest books or talk about look
Right.
what the White House has been doing when they aren't. So what is this? Where we're supposed to be a dead carcass with hyenas
Yeah.
and vultures feeding on it? It's
Yeah.
insult. I get mad every time I hear that.
Yeah, I would
And
like to
then
piggyback off of some of what you said. Not only are we having problems with the MPD situation, we have the correctional problem that's going on with the jailers. A young man also lost his life not too long ago. I mean, about 2 months ago,
three.
3 months
Three.
ago.
No,
Right.
there are 3 of them that have lost their lives in the last some odd days. And Amnesty International is comparing 201 Poplar to perhaps Rikers Island on a reduced scale.
I
Oh
can
my
believe it.
God. That's
Yeah, I can
awesome.
believe
I
it.
mean, that is
Right.
awful.
Yeah,
We are
right.
making
Before,
that.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go, Tom. You go,
No, I was
son.
just saying, right before we got brought in, which was a new class that was being introduced at the time, was called direct supervision, where you were actually inside with the inmates. Prior to that, the federal government had to come in and take over. They did that for many years before they turned it back over to the city. And it looks like it's going to be in a position like that again.
Well, perhaps somebody can be a little bit more concerned about bringing in, well, not bringing in, but using effective command authority
I
and
would
not
agree with you,
just
Judge.
administrative authority. See, the morale on the police department is at rock bottom zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Remember
also,
that movie Clint Eastwood was in? It was called, what was it? Pork Chop Hill or something like that. He was
I
the
remember that.
rather alcoholic gunny sergeant, and they sent him in to straighten up this recon platoon where the morale was zero. Nobody was in charge. And at first they hated him, but he took it over and then they wound up loving him and he turned it into an effective, proud unit. We need something like that here. And
Well,
I don't understand why we had to go outside of Memphis when there
Right.
are a lot of outstanding officers,
Yes.
men and women,
You
Mhm.
know
who
what?
could have been the new director. And by the way, why did we have our first chief in 41 years who's civil service and not subject to anybody's control?
You're right about
That's a good
that.
question.
yeah,
That you know that's the bad thing about Memphis. They always want to go outside and put outside people that have not even lived in this city in these high positions. What's up with that, Judge?
Well, it's an attempt to say, well, you know, we have to end the corruption, but they're not ending the corruption. They just bring in people who aren't familiar with the corruption and don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
There are honest people in here, and what do we get all the time when there's a problem? Well, we're going to appoint a committee or we're going to set up a program because I don't have a clue, and the program and the committee is going to have a study and it'll be run by bureaucrats who don't have a clue. And meanwhile, there'll be lots of money thrown around at some of my good, excuse me, I didn't mean to say that, might be able to grab a little bit of and get well off. And, you know, we can do great things if we just had the right kind of program. What it is, I don't know. But if we throw enough money at it, we will find out about it. And meanwhile, oh, you mean none of you out there have heard of any of these people on the committee before? Oh, well, I mean, they're really prominent people around here, you know. We just found them somewhere and they've never done anything, but you know, they give the impression, so you ought to be happy.
Mm.
Hey, Jenny's got something to say.
oh,
Jenny.
okay. Yeah. Well, Tim and I touched on this a few weeks ago about accountability from the police officers too, because they've gotten, you know, all these good and bad things are happening. But my point was that when they earn a week's vacation, they also should be required to take a week of re-upping their duties, their position in you know, take a class to decompress, take a class to make sure you're still up to date on the procedures and your morale. Be accountable, like the stuff that happened with with the beating last month, right?
Well,
Uh,
yeah, beating
that
last month doesn't
yeah.
appear
Well,
to be
see,
police business related. It appears to be
exactly.
between two of the officers and the victim, the latest set of.
Yeah.
So that needs to be
The
dealt.
the latest that we have heard was that there was something to do with a baby daddy and blah blah blah, and that man took advantage of his position as a cop.
And
Okay.
there was also the additional one of somebody else's wife involved in the
Yeah.
mess. This
Yeah.
allegations. But
So, you know,
yeah,
that kind of thing, there should be accountability to make sure that their home life stays home, and that a police officer doesn't take advantage of their position, because we're supposed to respect the police and they're supposed to be there to serve and protect the public, right? And when someone is on the job for say a few years, right? If they got a week's vacation, they should also have a week of recentering themselves in the job too. Okay,
just make,
like a doctor has to update his skills every year,
Mhm.
right? A doctor has to go catch up on the updates.
called
So should
training.
so should law enforcement.
It's called
Because
in-service training.
yes, and it should be
I've already
required.
got for
If
that,
they get a week of
including-
vacation, they should have a week of in-service
Yeah,
training.
well, I've got plans for that too. There's a
Well,
certain
that's
doc-
great.
There's a
Uh-huh.
certain outstanding clinical psychologist, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, out in Los Angeles, who set up a program that she's just initiated for the Los Angeles Police Department, wherein mandatorily every officer is debriefed by either her or another psychologist on a regular basis. to see what's going on in their lives, what's happening with them, the impact that takes the onus off of them from having to seek this out, which has some detrimental effect on certain federal forms. Have you ever now sought or received mental health treatment, counseling, therapy? Well, it just becomes part of the job requirement. And also there's another problem too, which very few talk about, which is the extremely high rate of suicide amongst cops.
Yeah.
One other
Yeah.
thing too, in terms of the command authority, is it started off, but I think the youngest now has aged a year. So we did have officers from 22 years of age up to a maximum of 32 years of age, turned loose with no supervision, scant experience on a police department,
Mhm.
very little specific training in certain vital areas. An idea that somebody came up with not long ago about we don't need classrooms. Let's do this on the job training with such things like use of force. And you can't do that out of a squad car. You need a classroom, and you need certain qualified instructors who know what they're
Yeah.
talking about to teach the subject.
Qualified, but
training.
qualified, but outside of the department.
Well, yeah,
Because
but even
yeah,
see, they weren't even using their internal talent.
Yeah.
See, one thing
Yeah.
I noticed, I've been doing this for 50 years. And before I got on the bench 30 plus years ago, wow, has it been that long? Yeah, 33 years ago. I had a number of officers that were clients of mine, and I kept in touch with them over the years. And there's a funny thing: squad car initiates who are rookies hate defense lawyers, and seasoned cops and detectives, that's all who they hang around with and drink with, are defense lawyers, because they understand how the system works. And they say, hey, look, everybody has bad hair days, and it's not a good thing when nobody is peeping over your shoulder, when somebody is saying, okay, that's not cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And when somebody gets you a time or two through internal affairs, you understand what the other side is about, so you appreciate due process.
Right. But here's the thing about
process.
that. Here's the thing about that. And I had a personal friend that was on the police force, right? One of the things that the old heads do, the first thing they'll tell you is forget all that crap you learned in the classroom. I'm gonna show you the streets and classroom are two different things. I'm gonna show you how it's really done. Which shouldn't be tolerated.
Well, that's good and bad,
Mhm.
but it depends on what you're talking about. See, if you're telling somebody, look, you just can't do this, this is what the law is about. And as a matter of fact, it's been the law for quite some time, since 1979, and it came out of a Memphis case about use of force.
Mhm.
So you need to learn this and understand that somebody will hold you accountable if you violate it. The other thing is you go out on the streets and you see these flashing blue lights in the distance that aren't police cars. They're these pole cameras that are on little small carts, and they move around, and you may get looked at. Somebody is watching you, and the surveillance applies to you as well as to everybody else. And nowadays, everybody's got a cell phone and a built-in news reporting system. So you have to be accountable. And the other thing is, these are the people you work for. You're not here to oppress them.
Right.
You're here to serve them. So get
That's
out of
right.
your head. Now, other thing, you have a problem with these young folk with not having supervision.
Right.
Now, everybody in here has kids, and you know how they were when they were 23, 24. They know absolutely everything about absolutely nothing.
Right.
And you can't tell them anything, but they need command authority where somebody's holding them to count. We don't do this.
Right.
That's right.
Now, yeah, there are some things that they tell you in the academy. I've, over the years, occasionally lectured at the academy, and some of them are just, okay, you can't tell somebody how to get along with somebody, but sometimes maybe you need to experiment and figure out what's going on. But we need a psychologist coming in and saying, hey, look, that's very negative body language you're using. That's the same kind of body language somebody out on the streets is using, because guess what? That's where you have your background too.
Right.
Which is, you should be part of this, but you're feeling a little alien to this. So are you suffering from the fact that when you were in the 9th grade, you got run home too many times from school and you're trying to get revenge on somebody who reminds you of somebody that ran you home? We're not supposed to do that because we are above that. Or when you're talking to somebody, is your body language ramping up the tension? What are you doing? You see, these kind of things need to be taught, and there needs to be instruction on them, but they're not there. Now, sometimes some other stuff, like I know, for example, there's a drill that you go through, but sometimes you can deviate from the drill, just like I knew when I was a judge. There is the spirit of what you're doing as well as the formal rules. So sometimes, as long as you're carrying out the spirit of what you're doing, you can deviate from the formal rules. Like a time or two, look, excuse me, Madam Court Reporter, turn the record off. Look, what do you think you're doing? We're not going to have that. It's like, I remember one time I had 6 first-degree murder cases, defendants in my courtroom, each of them set for trial. And there was somebody that thought he was a gangster and he was going to intimidate everybody. So I just said, Madam Court Reporter, look, cut the record off and said, look, I said, I'm listed in the phone directory. My address is in there. Now, this foolishness is going to stop. You can tell your friends to come by and we'll have an exciting little exchange if they want to. But outside of that, we're getting back to business. Now, I'm going to put my foot deep in your behind if you do this one more time. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Now that we're clear, Madam Court Reporter, you may turn the record back on. Now, young sir, we will have no more of this kind of outburst in the courtroom. Is that clear?
No. Gotcha. So we're going to take a break on that note, and we're going to turn it back on in just a little bit. All right, everybody?
All right.
Okay, so we're taking everybody out of the main screen right now. Gonna leave me on there just a bit. We got to take a break. When we come back, Judge, we have some questions from the audience. We have a lady lives in Memphis, and I know you want her vote. She has a question about you that she wants to ask you about MLG&W and the school board. All right, so y'all stay, don't go away. I thank those of you on the other platforms that are watching. We know what the blue and white one does. It doesn't always show the correct number, but I'm looking at my studio screen. We have currently 152 viewers that's watching, and those views are mostly coming from the other platforms because we're broadcasting simultaneously on 5 or 6 platforms. All right, take a look at our partners, y'all, and then we will be right back. All right.
What am I gonna get? Ooh, cherries. Oh, okay. How about cherry ice cream? With sprinkles? And maybe a baguette. And a French boy. Bonjour. Ooh la la, baby. You know what I need? Bath bombs. Bombs away! Gotta have Takis. Oh, I need balls. Okay, I'm gonna need some glue. Oh, and a new charger. I can never find those things. And I gotta get flowers for mommy. And a little something for me. Can I get a robe?
So, are you going to Amy's wedding?
I don't have the money.
Yeah, you do. Who are you? I'm you, from the future. And I just got paid.
And I'm Dave. I can get you up to $500 of your future money now.
Up to $500 instantly?
Instantly.
That's amazing. Oh, who's he?
Oh, this is Paolo. We met at the reception. Hi. Hola. Hello. Paolo. That's me.
Download Dave and get up to $500 instantly.
Thank y'all so very much. Okay. And listen, we have all of our partners listed in one place for you to make it convenient. Just go to our website, WLO.link. That's LINK / and then the @ y'all know what that is. Emily Pearls. All right. Also, don't forget to watch our movie that's playing on Tubi, Roku, Apple TV, and Plex TV. Name of the movie, M Pearls, AAL, the movie. I thought I got another banner that I need to show. Let's see. For Judge Joe Brown's website. Okay. Go to Judge Joe Brown's website for all the information that you need to find out what you want to know. And not only that, you can type in a question and send it to him. All right. And that is JJB2023.com. JJB2023.com. Y'all write that down. All right. Gonna leave that up there just a little bit while I bring all the rest of the panel in. Okay. All right. Everybody's coming back in. Hey, y'all. Welcome back.
Yay.
Okay. Judge Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
One of our viewers, my dear friend that I used to work with, we retired from the state together. She wants to know, what is your opinion on, or do you have any comment on Memphis Light, Gas, and Water and the school board here?
Okay, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water's physical infrastructure has been allowed to decay significantly. All of us remember when the weather was more severe during the winters, more varied, and we didn't have these problems. We didn't have power going down. We did not have the water mains becoming dysfunctional. We didn't have the service issues. We had people reading our meters. We got detailed printouts of our utility usages. We did not get summary statements, and we did not get cell phone service and everything disrupted because of these smart meters that are in your house telling
Not very
third
smart.
parties what you're up to. No, and they broadcast on AT&T every 20 seconds. So
Wow.
that means every house in the neighborhood, just about, unless you opt out, is getting a cell phone transmission going 3 times a minute, which is an enormous load, which screws up, excuse the terminology, our cell phone utility circumstances. So we need somebody to get in charge of this thing and start restoring this infrastructure. We need salt and sand put out and made available so that the streets can be safe when we have this inclement weather that nowadays, with the weather reporting being as it is, you get at least a week's advantage in terms of time before it hits. There's no reason you can't put the salt out on the ground, even if it melts due to intervening rain. It still keeps the ice from forming. But we don't do that. And every year people get badly injured and sometimes killed because we don't deal with those kind of things. Now,
Right.
some of us remember when there was snow continuously on the ground for several months, not just once every few weekends.
Yes. Yes.
And we didn't have everything collapsing, except I can remember one time back in the mid-90s, we had an ice storm where there were a few outages for a short time, not days of outages for for areas. So something needs to be done about that. This clown show we've got about back and forth between TVA and somebody's proposed alternative, it's got to stop because we can generate our own energy. I already have a plan for that.
Good.
But you see, it's also a management issue too.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on with the way Memphis Light, Gas, and Water is being operated?
Why do
Is
they
it
keep the
something-
same people there for years? The same management for years? That's dumb.
Well, we had Herman Morris who ran it for years, and we didn't seem to have too many problems. And now we have problems that may or may not be due to current management. It may be due to the fact that Memphis Light, Gas, and Water is starved. And you remember when it used to belong to the city before somebody got the bright idea of privatizing it,
Yeah.
which is the best idea in the world. We need to investigate that. Next thing, speaking of investigation, going to the school board problem. For some reason, supposedly to save money, which it didn't, the city council divested itself of its education charter and turned it over to the city board of education. So we have a small percentage of the student body in this county school system with more effective votes than the overwhelming majority of the student body. We need to investigate how our money is being spent, and I'm particularly concerned, since I'm familiar with this situation, of why the county board is wasting so much money between a board attorney and a board legal staff and turning around and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, perhaps several million, to a private silk stocking law firm to duplicate what there's already a fully paid full-time legal staff is supposed to be doing. What's going on with that? What is this program of hiring teachers with starting wage that is on the poverty level with no retirement, and what's being done by this contracting party, Teach America, so to speak, that has taken over our educational process, determine who gets hired, where they get assigned, how much they get paid, and has done everything to divest itself of our senior, experienced, and most highly educated and trained teachers over the years to increase corporate profitability. Somewhere in here, the city needs to exert itself as the largest tax-paying entity in this scheme to take back control and see if it can't do something to return excellence to the education that is received by our children and grandchildren, nieces,
Right.
nephews, etc. So something needs to be done in that line. And another thing I did not like, and I'll tell you, it made me feel weird. I went to a high school to talk, and the principal really tried. So I was looking and I was saying, Principal, I said, what is that? I said, that young lady, she's got on hot booty shorts and a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
tied halter and sandals and big hoop earrings. Are students allowed to dress like that? He said, Judge, that's not a student. That's a teacher. We
Oh
aren't
my
permitted to
God.
talk
Wow.
about their dress
Um,
and attire. I said, oh,
Oh
wow.
my God. That's
Okay, so
terrible.
I'm
okay.
looking at this, and things like that are just out of control. See,
That's right.
what are we doing about this? We've got the feds, we've got Ford Motor Company, UT Knoxville. They have a statewide program to recruit high school seniors who are in the STEM and encourage them while they're in high school to go into it so they can be put to work with this nascent electric car industry that's going to be generated by Ford and General Motors through Cadillac in West Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We are getting absolutely nothing out of that here in the Memphis Shelby County area. Why? Nobody's pushing it. But I've referred several students to this program, and grad student and undergrad. They've gotten results. Nobody told us about it. Well, nobody's looking into it because they've
Right.
got other little things to talk about. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at something that everyone should look at. It's called, write this down, or maybe you can remember it. It's called followthemoney.org.
Follow the money.
.org. And you can look
Okay.
up who's on the school board, who's running for other offices that's been on the school board, including the mayoral candidates, and see who has bought them over the last few years.
Okay.
And where they get the money and how much and what these contributors are into and what businesses or industry they represent.
Okay.
And you're looking at people on the school board and you say, why in the world are they accepting money from these particular lobbying interests? What's this got to do with education?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're looking at somebody that represents a small state district. And let's take the late Miss Barbara Cooper, Dr. Barbara Cooper, an outstanding woman I've known since 1974 until her passing.
She was.
And that was as a result of a fall that resulted in a blood clot. We
My
talked,
goodness.
and she recruited me to run for mayor. It was her idea.
Wow.
And she conducted my exploratory committee and chaired the original Zoom meetings we had. Well, from a certain set of lobbyists over a 30-year period, she got about $1,600 from this group over 30 years. From when she first became a legislator back in the 90s. I was a judge I couldn't campaign for, but we talked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody that is running for mayor that is representing a smaller district and is on fewer committees than she was with far less influence has gotten tens of thousands of dollars in just 8 years from the same concern. Who's buying who?
Right.
1,500 versus almost $100,000. You know, you look at these kind of things, or you look at some of the other mayoral candidates or occupying any office, and you see people that are talking about making it safe for Memphis, but who get money from the people who are trying to put the pipeline in through Memphis. You get people from money that, should we all have all of the city's money put in First Horizon Bank, that gives them a lot of cash on deposit, which increases the extent to which they can have accounts for extending credit, loans, financing, et cetera, like that, for small businesses, for mortgages and such like, home improvement. And you find that that banking facility has contributed tens of thousands of dollars over the years to the candidates in question. So what is that? See, First Tennessee used to be a Tennessee bank. First Horizon is not only a Tennessee bank now, it's not an American bank. It's chartered in Canada. So why are we giving away all of our money to a Canadian bank instead of patronizing some of the local banks so they will have more deposits coming in from the city that can extend the level that they can rise to in mortgages, uh, business loans, stuff like that, home improvement loans, and
Okay,
things
but
you need to
Hey, I think Jenny
jumpstart
has
the
some.
economy.
Jenny has something to say. Jenny.
Okay, I've lost connection, and I don't think y'all saw it on your end, but I've lost connection twice, and I just want to say something before I lose connection. The storm's getting
okay,
worse. Okay,
okay.
number one, Judge, you got it spot on, man. You know, okay, I'm dealing with a world of people on my platforms and everything. The first thing is, if people don't learn to communicate like humans are supposed to learn, we did it before and now we've let technology take over that, right? We need to have discussions, we need to have conversations in order to make these problems solvable. Okay. Also, Turkey, we have a large following from Turkey, and I just want to send out prayers to them because of the earthquakes they've had.
Yeah,
And they're not the only country, but we do have a large following there, and I just want to send out prayers to
We
them.
do.
oh,
I pray to God y'all are doing okay.
thank you,
I
Jen.
hope y'all get this message. And lastly, um, when I say conversation, people have to learn to stop being silent, and they need to be cordial. But when they see wrong, they need to speak up. We
Yeah,
can't
that's
fix the
true.
problems if people aren't
Consideration.
communicating. If they're
Thank you
not
for that
communicating and
consideration.
having conversation, we can't fix the problems, and we can't do it in text. We can't put emotions in our text. We have to speak. Like we're having a conversation here on the show tonight. It's because we are allowed to speak and give our opinions, and that gives other people options to consider. It's not telling people what to do, but
Right.
opening our thought processes up again because we can't do it in technology.
That's
We
right.
have to do it through human communication. We lost that ability in technology. We're supposed to let technology help us, not do it for us.
That's
So
true.
when people get when they learn that silence is a killer, we need to communicate as humans. Then things will move along a lot faster. And hopefully I can stay for the rest of the show. It's getting bad here.
Okay, well, be
Okay.
careful.
All right.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you. Speaking of which, it's good that you're concerned about Turkey. Let's talk about Memphis. We've got the New Madrid fault that runs right through here. And
That's true.
geologically, we are past due for something worse than what Turkey has gone through,
That's true. That's
and
true.
much worse than what you get all the time in California from the San Andreas fault. Now, this New Madrid fault had a little problem in 1843, and the Mississippi River ran backwards for 3 days and formed Reelfoot Lake, and they felt it all the way to Washington, D.C., all the way to New York City. Now, that was estimated to be something like 9.3 on the Richter scale when scientists looked at the effects. So we are overdue for another one of those. And by the way, our zoning requirements don't have any earthquake proofing, and a lot of those buildings downtown would come down at somewhere over 5.5, and that would be a disaster. And that is something that we need to look into. Why is it that we don't have coherent city planning that somebody has to stick to? And why is our city council using every little excuse when we have a problem? It used to be adult entertainment. Now it's this thing with the police 5 plus. to cover up zoning variances and such like, and gentrification with no concern about where you are going to resettle the people who are dislocated. See, we need to do something about that.
That's true.
That
We,
is paramount before we have an absolute disaster. Now,
yeah,
somebody had a question in the box about gun violence.
right.
Well,
Let's say
okay,
Ed Waters.
let me say this. Personally, I always carry a gun. All right. Most of my close and personal friends do, whether they're preachers, doctors, dentists, you name it. Okay. Now, we don't shoot anybody. Personally, I started taking martial arts back in 1966, and my teacher, my good brother, almost literally, he passed last year, unfortunately, as a result of a botched operation on his knees.
Mm.
Wow.
And his students, which include me, we could probably kill most humans without a formal weapon more quickly than we could kill them with a firearm. But when we walk in someplace, nobody registers us, in spite of having something came out of Roderick Crawford Highway Patrol in 1954 when they had some martial arts specialist from Japan. The guy said he had to register his hands. Well, that's nonsense. That's Hollywood fiction. But nobody registers us, and we can kill most people who don't have the skill levels we do fairly quickly. And I haven't been in a room in about 5 or 6 years where I didn't identify something in the room I could quickly turn into a lethal weapon. But you see, it's my character that protects you, not takes your life. So when we get somebody that's talking about firearms cause all of this, that's not true. The real serious stuff does not come from a gun show. It does not come over the internet. It does not come from a gun shop. What happens is it's smuggled in with the same drugs that the war on drugs can't stop. When you get in big shipments of drugs, you get a few cases of Kalashnikovs from the Middle East, you are from the sand pile, you get stuff that's American that comes in from South Korea and South America. You get all of this stuff coming in. Judges, most of the ones now have never heard of it, but law enforcement keeps a thick catalog of all weapons seized for whatever reason, whether it was arrested someone on a bench warrant, DUI, or something like that, and they seized it out of the trunk of the car, or they found it in Uncle John's sock drawer. Most of it is drunk. It's half rusted. It's had 3 bullets out of the 6 chambers for the last 55 years in there, and the damn thing won't work. And then they've got stuff that, interestingly enough, goes through Inter-Armco in Virginia, outbound to, say, Peru. And then that was 47 years ago, and now it's back in America. Like, how did it come back in? In the Middle East, Israel brings in a lot of stuff. Kalashnikov, they seized in the Arab-Israeli wars 50-some years ago. And all of this is supposed to be, in Korea has its own indigenous firearms industry now called Daewoo, so they send back American stuff, and it's supposed to be justified as a black op method of raising funds to initially to fight communism, and now it's supposed to be anti-terrorism, but it's still heavyweight stuff. AR, by the way, does not stand for assault rifle. That's Armalite. The so-called AR-15 was patented. Guess when? Anybody got an idea how old it is?
Probably what, 1949?
1952.
I was close, man.
Yeah, you were.
71 years old. It's the longest serving rifle in American history. It has been in since Curtis LeMay got it for the Air Force in 1962 after getting an initial supply in 1958.
Yeah,
Now,
I
when
knew,
I
I
was
knew it
a
was
kid,
back then, a long time ago. I remember
now
reading that
when I
somewhere.
was a kid and we saw John Wayne and Clint
6-shooter.
Good and such like on the movies, and they had the lever action Winchester Model 92.
Yeah.
That was a newer design than an AR-15 is. So it stands for Armalite. So the other thing is an assault rifle. Little brief history lesson is German Sturmgewehr, which was listed to fool Hitler as a machine pistol 42, 43, which became Sturmgewehr 44. Hitler liked it, so they stopped disguising it. It fires an intermediate cartridge between a pistol submachine gun, pistol caliber submachine gun, like a 45 caliber Thompson or a 9mm MP38 Schmeisser, and something that is full power rifle size that most people can't control on full auto. An assault rifle is by definition a machine gun. What people are using is not a machine gun. You have to keep pulling the trigger, and that's been in the hunting field for 120 years.
Yeah.
So Remington came out with a Browning design back in 1902. They upgraded it in 1906 and again in 1908. And that's been in the hunting field for 120 years almost. So it's nothing
You
new.
know a lot about these guns. Are you a hunter?
Well, that was my business, criminal law for years. So
I see.
what you wind up with is a lot of hype because you know what the big problem is? It's character. You are not teaching children to be responsible for what they do. They're supposed to be entitled. They're supposed to have instant gratification. They're not supposed to have to work for anything. They're into this Walt Disney nonsense of when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Your dreams come true. Well, if we don't live in fantasy land. Okay, that's a myth. The other thing is nobody punishes children anymore. Though, by the way, guess what? In Tennessee, corporal punishment for children is not illegal. A lot of the prosecutors don't even know that. But it is what it is. As long as you don't cause any disfigurement or serious bodily injury, it is what it is. So what we also have in Memphis is in those areas where there is the highest percentage of legally armed citizens, guess what? They have the lowest violent crime rate. The ones where there is the lowest percentage of armed citizens, you have the highest crime rate. The other thing is, too, is most crime where it does not fit that tends to fit a profile where it says no guns allowed on the premises.
Right. And another thing that's going on with the young people. When I was a correction officer, I found out they were catching the felony charges at such a young age.
Oh yeah, look, I walk around still.
Yeah,
not in the last 5 years, but before that, summertime, you walk through certain areas.
Right.
Hey man, yo, stomp man. Tell little dog, man, he don't know what time it is. He ain't never done no time, man.
Right.
Oh yeah, man, it's inevitable, man. I'm gonna do my time just because I ain't done it yet, man. Don't mean I don't know, man. Tell him, little Earl, man, he wrong, man. Hey, dog, man, tell him, man, he don't know.
Right.
Sit up there talking about, yeah, man, I'm gonna do my time, man.
Yeah.
So you know, like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. What's happening when they catch those felonies like that? They find it hard to find employment.
Well, that's the secret to the whole game.
Right.
You know, pipeline, schoolhouse, the jailhouse is about.
Correct. That's correct.
You don't have a program in this country anywhere,
right,
to take the worker who has been made obsolete by industrial technology and computerization and make him a viable employee again. So he becomes surplus. He's a commodity. What do you do when you have a commodity glut? Three things. You cut back production, subsidize the producer, and store the surplus. We put our surplus in a jail cell instead of a grain silo, a people warehouse. The subsidy is the public assistance check that goes on for generations so nobody escapes. The cutting back of production is when they get too deep into the thug rap, gangsta, hip hop, etc., etc. They drop out, bang out, drug out, don't have vocational skills, no academic preparation, wrong lifestyles, wrong way of carrying themselves, wrong attire, sag bagged, and talk wrong, and they create chaos, and they have hopelessness. And then when they get that first felony, they're really unemployed.
Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, you don't want to generate any more Timothy McVeigh types who get really peeved when they can't get what they think they ought to get. They go buy 250 pounds of ammonium nitrate fertilizer from a lawn and garden shop, and they go blow up a courthouse in Oklahoma City. By the way, that ammonium nitrate is America's most common fertilizer. And guess what? The sheriff's department, when they want to go blow something up, gets a 25-pound bag from the lawn and garden store a couple of miles down from the training academy, and it makes a good long pulse explosive. The military uses it in their 155 millimeter howitzer shells. And anybody can walk in and buy it, and there's enough online to explain how to set it up, sensitize it, and how to detonate it. So, I mean, wow. So you have to deal with the fact that right now, most of these bozos in office don't trust the people that constitute the citizens of this city, this county, this state, and this country. And we're in charge, but we can do whatever the devil we want to corrupt your children, to corrupt your lives, to steal from you, to rip from you. But you're not to be trusted. Put yourself in our hands. And all of this hell that we started off by, all of what we did that didn't work, and we want to throw more of what doesn't work at it. Just trust us. We'll just make it worse, but we'll make it sound good. So, you know, that's the way to deal.
Well, we're so happy that you know what to do. And I know that the Memphis citizens can't wait until election time. So,
and by the way, we need to get one of the ways of getting the police department and the citizens on better terms. Let's set up some shooting ranges at some of the police facilities so that the citizens can go there and get instruction in the safe use and rules to use firearms, and the police can assist train them and for free, and the police can get better acquainted with the people they represent and know who's going to be armed and who's not, because they help train them, and that would improve relations a bit, I'm sure. It usually does. So there are all kinds of things you can do. Let's take some of these things like this 3rd Street skating rink down there that is a killing zone.
Yes.
That's true.
And let's turn it into a police sub-precinct and start teaching vocational education and academic rehabilitation. And we can have skating parties down there under the auspices of the police department. That improves relations. Again, it causes interaction, and it makes the area a little bit safer for the kiddies to be around. So we need to get the thug out of somebody's existence. And one of the things that I've said, His Lordship the Mayor, or His Honor the Mayor, needs to be able to walk down and deal with the situation on the streets in every community in this city. Every community. Not a select few, and not with an armed guard, so that he can go in there and subdue everybody. But he has to have a message like, hey, young folk, this is not how you do it. Let me show you how to do it. You want to take over one day? This is how you do it, and this is what you need to do. You need to have a purpose in your life. What's that? That means, who are you accountable to, and what are you doing for somebody besides yourself? You
Right.
know,
Right.
do you look in the mirror and say you make where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, opportunity, morality, and ethics? Are you a brave and courageous man or woman who is a man or woman of public peace, dignity, and order, but who can be brave when necessary? Are you one of those people?
Mm.
Do
Yeah.
you have that? Do you look in the mirror and say, what did you do yesterday, man?
Mm.
That
Oh,
sounds
Great idea.
good, Jazz.
you
We
gonna
Great
do
idea.
it today, man? I'm talking to you, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking right back at you, dude. I'm talking to you. This
Right.
is you looking at you, man. You gonna prepare to be a better man, or just lady shot, you doing a makeup, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Well, we
Are
know
you
that
gonna
you
be
are
better
one that
tomorrow?
we
Yes,
know
sir.
that you are one that people would respect, where that you would probably be the only one that we've ever met so far that would be brave enough and respected enough to walk the streets of the city,
Yeah.
and that's why we need you.
And look at
So,
this. I'm
mhm,
one of these people that was trying to put Memphis back on the map. For
Mm-hmm.
15 years, when I had the number 1 or 2 daytime syndicated show,
right,
it was known I was from Memphis. I was leading by example,
Right.
right,
like Elvis did, like
Mhm.
some other people did. And this brings something to the city.
Right.
right,
So I'm not trying to make money. I've got what I need to
right. We
be
know that.
comfortably retired. I'm trying to make this a place for grandchildren and
Right.
children and nieces and nephews
Children's
and all of
children's
that kind of
children's.
stuff. And
Right.
look here,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's right.
all these nobodies out there no one has ever heard of, and their stuffed shirts. What do the kids call them? Boule. That's a good term.
Mm.
Oh, I have so and so. And if you look at them, they're having an election contest right now to see who can get the most money from the usual suspects, meaning a list of suspects
Right,
that you don't want to have much of anything to do with governance of your city because they aren't in your city's interest.
Right.
You
hmm
know, it's like, again, follow the money.
.com.
.org.
I mean
Yeah.
.org. Yeah, I
We
wrote it
got you.
down.
Got it
We're
wrote
gonna
down.
check it out.
Yeah.
We sure do. Thank you. And we got people with more questions, but y'all gonna have to hold him till he comes back. He hope he
Yeah.
back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Tim, your closing comments.
Hey, great show, great information, and Judge, like I said, you got my vote. With
Got
that being,
mine.
yeah, with that being said, I like to wish everybody love, peace, and happiness, and let's be safe out there.
Several. Your closing.
Well, of course, I'm a big fan of the wonderful Judge Joe Brown, the next mayor of Memphis, and you have my vote, and I'm all excited. You're about the only person that can got me on Pearl's politics, so that's a
Yeah, I know
feather
that's right. Look, audience, y'all gotta
feather
give a
in
cheer
your
for
cap.
that.
I usually bypass this, and I'm on the 901 show on Tuesdays and the the Pearl
Friday night
show
Yeah.
on Fridays. But anyway, we love having you, and of course you're going to drop by once a month at least, if not more than that. So we'll see you back in March, and thank you for
He can come
you
back
was
as many
in
times
great
as he
demand.
wants to.
Well, I love being in the presence of you wonderful.
And the audience loves you. They can't get
Oh,
enough
yeah.
Oh yes,
questions.
Oh, yeah.
So you're gonna have to come back to get answer some of these unanswered questions that we didn't have time to get to tonight. But it's really weird how smart pets are. My dog kind of like knows that my shows used to run about an hour and 5 or 6 minutes, and she started bothering me. She's ready for her treat, because she gets a treat when the show ends
Oh,
for being a
okay.
good girl and not barking, right?
Well, I've
yes.
got one right down here at my feet. She's
Have
being
you?
excellent too, not barking either.
Oh, what kind of dog
I
do you
walked her
have?
before. It is an aspiring lap dog, a
Well,
genuine
let's see.
pampered poodle.
Pick her up.
Mm.
Oh,
Come on.
that's so sweet.
What's her name?
Yes.
Ah,
Very cute.
Oh, how
Hi there.
cute.
She's
nice,
so sweet. Hey,
nice.
sweetie. You are a cutie pie. Yes, you are.
All
I
right.
wanted a small dog too,
Mhm.
Well,
but
I've usually had big monsters like
well, that's what
Rhodesian
I got
Ridgeback,
now.
Great
I
Dane.
got a big wild child. I guess you saw her.
Mm,
I only weigh 101 pounds, and I bet you she weighs 75.
mm,
But she's sweet. She minds really good, but she knows who is alpha still in this house, cause so I don't have to worry about her doing no dog attack on her, cause she would know. She know she might be as big as me and can push me around. Cause she can move me now, but she know that if anything goes wrong and she's coming at me the wrong way, she knows she gonna get knocked into the middle of next week. As much as
mm.
Well,
I love her.
I had two well-trained Ridgebacks, Rhodesian Ridgebacks.
No, really?
Both of them weighed 125 pounds
Oh
apiece.
my
Mm,
God.
I had a 7'4" long jet black Great Dane who would occasionally clip 200 pounds in the winter. So
Oh,
mm,
wow.
big guy. And then I had 4 Pomeranians. Let's see, 1 African gray parrot
mm,
and 2 green cheek conures, and they were
You're a
nice.
dog lover like me. I've had
mm.
dogs all my
Okay.
life.
Wow.
And this one, somebody that was working on the campaign was traveling back and forth to DC, and they said, "Hey, I can't handle it. Can you?" I said, "Sure." So I've had the dog for several months, about 6 or 7 months. So
Oh, you got
he's
dumped
not.
on like I did. I got
Yeah,
dumped on with this one. I've been had her now about a year and a half.
well, this.
She got dumped on me from a guy who rescued her from the street. She was a puppy then. He took her to his apartment. He was gonna keep her, but then somebody snitched on him in the apartment, and he had to get. They only gave him 1 day to get rid of the dog, and he says, Emily, he said, can you take her, please? She's so sweet. You're the only one I know that loves dogs that I could think of that could take her this quick. I don't have time to find her home. He just begged and begged and begged, Your Honor, and I couldn't say nothing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I like dogs, so dogs like me, and I guess they recognize the alpha. So
They
anyway,
do, yeah. They know the alpha either way, if it's a female or male. You're gonna be the alpha. They know who the
we
boss.
get along fine. She just thinks she's
Bless
people,
her
and
heart.
she is becoming a very pampered poodle,
Well, this one
literally.
right here spoiled to the rotten to the max. Isn't she Sybil and Tim?
Talking about you.
Yeah.
And how smart is she? Is she smart, Tim? Is she
Oh,
smart,
you don't
Sybil?
have to
Mm,
teach her many times, and she picks it up. She can do a few things.
Oh, this one, yeah. She's
But she's spoiled.
I
She
know she is.
She doesn't want to eat dry kibble anymore. That's not good enough. We must Pops.
You've
We
been
gotta
feeding her
bring
people
this
food.
up. Like, hey, where are we
Well, I'm
going
gonna
with
tell you
this?
something that she would love, and you could get it from Aldi's. It's salmon and sweet potato hard
She
dog
doesn't
food.
like that.
mm,
You tried it, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't. She's more into turkey and
Chicken.
beef and venison and that kind of thing, and
Oh yeah.
chicken stuff.
Well, you and I could
Oh,
talk a
these
lot about
greeny
dogs, couldn't we?
dental like
Well, you
yeah.
know what? Yeah, my dog will eat mostly anything. When I make my sweet potato pies, you know how you have to peel the peelings off.
Mm,
I don't have to throw those away. I give them to Precious. Precious loves
mm,
sweet potato peelings. She likes salad. She loves to eat salad. She loves apples. Uh, and what was the other thing?
mm.
I gave her grapes. She loves green grapes, seedless grapes.
Wow.
Okay.
be
Okay.
careful.
That's
Some
cute.
dogs have a problem with grapes. Yours
Yeah.
doesn't fine, but some dogs do.
It can
Yeah,
get stuck in the throat.
no, she knows how to chew them. She chews
Mm,
them before she swallows them. Yeah,
Well,
all
she's
right.
smart.
she plays with it first, and then she'll
Hmm.
just. But when she gets tired of rolling it around for a ball, then she just starts biting it and chews it up in pieces,
Oh, that's good.
and
Oh,
then she swallows a piece by a piece by a piece.
all right then.
That's pretty good. Well, Judge, you got some closing remarks?
Yeah, let's take the town back. It belongs to us. This ought to be one of the biggest cities in the United States of America. So,
Mhm.
JJB in 2023 for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. A vote for me is a vote for yourself. A dollar for me is a dollar for yourself. Let's take our town back and turn it into a good, safe, healthy place for all of us to be, not just some of us to sit back and enjoy the prosperity they get at everybody else's expense. When
Right.
you hold a public office, you hold it as a matter of public trust. It's your duty and
Right.
responsibility to deliver good government.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Too many don't understand that because I guess their ambition holds no bounds. It's kind of like preaching.
Yeah, it
Some
is.
preachers get called, some always had a concern, and they go through the divinity school and all of that. And then some of them, they hustle.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, we
Then
Gotcha.
they
thank you so
came up.
much. You're gonna be coming back, and all the way. Ed says that I wish you luck. Go, Joe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to be sure that we help him, Ed, as much as we can. And I will say this. Sister can tell you that I'm very, very particular about who I support, even though she doesn't really come on
Mhm.
the politics show. And she's not really that into politics like me. But those that I have supported and that actually come on my show has won every time. So we cannot break
Yeah.
the record. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all righty.
Our new DA, remember Steve Mulroy
Yeah,
said he was
Hmm.
on
that's
the
Up,
Yeah.
show.
bro.
He did.
Yeah, yeah, and he won. Carol Chumney, when we were on our radio show before
she
years ago,
won.
she won. So I don't know a couple of more, but I won't try to ring my memory right now. Miss Rita says thank you,
And by the
Judge.
way, this
She
isn't
say put
me.
that in her
This is
vote.
the people winning. Remember, if
That's right.
you want to win as a people, I'll be the one for you because I will be you. You
Well,
will
here's
be
Well,
another
working
all
vote
right.
for
through
you.
me.
And
Outstanding.
Rita says
Miss
you have
Miss
her vote.
Sweeney, and
Hmm.
she lives here in Memphis. She says, "You have my vote."
Thank you, Miss Sweeney.
All right.
All right,
There you
then. Well,
go.
that's
Two
our
thumbs
time.
up. Here you go.
That's
Watch.
right.
Two
And
thumbs up.
we're gonna
All
keep
right.
having you, and so that more people can get to know you, and that's the reason why I think that the people that I support uh, have a better chance of winning because I give them a chance to just be themselves and talk on the show, talk to the audience, let the
And
audience talk to you,
one other thing, too, if you want to see what I'm about, go to YouTube. You can find 15 years worth of me
I've
and really
already
All
been.
right.
see how I
Yeah.
operate.
I've
I've
already been.
always
I got
been
a
the same.
question for you that's outside of politics. Are you going to do your Joe Brown TV again? Do you have a studio here?
I retired from that about 10 years ago. So I don't know. Maybe you might find me somewhere behind the scenes. I do have an entity that does production and it does things every now and then, but I had a tiff with Hollywood about money and also about ethics,
Yeah.
morality,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
politics.
my
So
move is
Gotcha.
totally
yeah,
clean. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like clean movies, and I like well, this clean comedian that's very famous. His name is Nate Bazamore Baza something, but he is Caucasian, high paid comedian, and he's always kept his comedy clean. He was on Today's Show this morning, and with Oprah's friend. What's her name?
Gail.
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 Yeah.
Gail.
Yeah, Gail, and she asked him, had he always done clean comedy? He said, yeah. He said, his family has always been clean. They don't, didn't cuss. They don't use words like, and he doesn't do politics. He just does comedy about everyday things that people can just simply relate to. And I said that to say this, Judge, you are someone that people can just simply relate to. You're not all huff puff stuff shirt.
Do men get that? I got the glass, and oh my God,
right,
all of you, just so difficult. I'm quite understand.
Yes, and you don't look down at people, nor do you look up. You look them straight in the eye, and people appreciate that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you can look someone straight in the eye, that's how you know they're telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell everybody. When you watch politicians give their little doodahs on the stage and stuff, or if they're in an
Put hands
interview,
in pockets, one hand in pockets, symbolize.
yes. You got to learn to recognize those lying signs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I teach my audience, so they know.
All
And that's
right.
why I say there is no other show in the world to deal with politics like Pearl's Politics. We love it. And I'm going to close with what I always do tell you all. Listen, free thought is a philosophy. It is not a
Look at
policy.
Miss Presley over here.
Oh, yeah. All right, let me put her on spotlight. Hold on, Sybil. I'm gonna put you on spotlight. Let's see how. Wait a minute. Hold on, Sybil. Let her get that. I got one too. And now next, what?
Somebody said, well, why don't you put on a shirt and tie? I said, I always had one on for 50 years every day. So they get used to the idea every now and then. I just want to act like the ordinary somebody that worked hard and is trying to pay more attention to being with the people. Thank you, ladies.
Well, thank you.
Most humbled.
Well, all righty. I guess with that, it'll be a good night, everybody.
No. Sybil, put that back up there to cover the screen. I'm getting ready to take a screenshot of the set with Just Joe Brown in it. All right, bringing everybody back in now. All right, I got a screenshot of that. I'm going to post it, of course.
All right.
But I'm going to only put it on the politics page,
Okay.
show page, simply because you know how that platform is to start with the letter F.
Yeah.
Is they want you to identify yourself if you're like doing politics, like.
We get it.
Sponsoring somebody,
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know how to get around that. Okay, that's our time, y'all. Really.
All
We will
right.
see y'all tomorrow night, and
Yep.
we have a special guest tomorrow night.
All right.
Yeah, we sure do.
Okay.
So you got to tune in. We're continuing to honor Black History Month.
All
And
right.
we certainly have honored it so far with Judge Joe Brown.
Mr.
and so
Harrington,
happy-
Miss Pearls, Miss
Yes.
Presley.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. And
Thank you for
Judge
your
Joe
August
Brown.
present.
All
Judge
right.
Joe
Thank you,
Brown,
Judge.
we are sending
Uplift.
you downtown.
All right.
You are so welcome. And Judge Joe Brown, we are sending you downtown.
Yes, we
That's
are.
our
But
time,
with
y'all.
that,
All right.
I better check out with that one.
Good night. That's right.
Right.
I
Good
gotta
night.
know this has been Judge Joe.
The opinions expressed on this program is not necessarily those of the Emily Pearl Show, its sister stations, its affiliates, or its sponsors, but it is those of the individuals themselves who express it. While the Emily Pearl Show does take stances on individual issues, the show itself remains an entertainment platform. Free thought is a philosophy and not a policy.